Welcome, everybody, to another great episode of Old Grumblers podcast. This time around, we have decided that we will be more concise, more precise, and not really 3 hours anymore because, it's tangents and things like that. And even though it is a podcast, we're trying to do it a little bit more professionally. So today, we will be talking about the DLC speculations for the next DLC. Now, we already know about the Kala and Slaanesh, and we'll talk about what else we think can be in it. Talk a little about leaks, and no onions, though, apparently. But with me, I have my precious hosts, co-hosts, and owner of the channel, Colonel Damders, and Monster Bounds.
Yes, we co-own the
channel. How are you guys doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, doing well.
Yeah, we decided that we'll do all the complaining. We've been talking for about 3.5 hours already, got that complaining out of the way. So now we're ready to actually talk about things that are new.
Yeah, talked about explosives and how traffic gets really bad when you find bombs.
Mm-hmm.
That's a nightmare.
Covered a range of topics: the housing market, bombs, broken ankles. It's been emotional, but
desyncing replays,
of course. But cool, put a lid on that for now. So DLC prediction, like Fred said, we know that there's Slaanesh, but we want to try and guess who the other one or two are, and maybe a little mechanic for those laws. We're not going to focus too much on reworks because that descends into, well, I think this faction is bad for this reason, and they could fix it by doing this, and that is a good topic, but it's for another video. So who wants to go first with their prediction? I know we've all been working really hard on this for the past 5 minutes. So who wants to present first? I have one idea.
Well, I thought it was going to be some form of elves because that works really well with Slaanesh. They're close by. They both need a little bit more pizzazz. And it could work out. I mean, now also with the old world, you're getting more stuff as well. Because we're probably not... I mean, high elves don't have much more than sky cutters otherwise, and a couple of heroes and lords they can add in. But I think maybe high elves or dark elves is what I always thought. Now the leaks, we can talk about the leaks later on though. And then something else that would fill in the void there, like a neutral or kind of evilish faction that could use a DLC. So I would maybe say Lizardmen. Obviously Norska would be really fun.
Well, who? They don't
or
exist.
Vampire Coast, for example. I think Vampire Coast and Vampire Counts should have their own thing, because if you're gonna have something around the oceans, you probably want more ocean faring stuff.
Yeah,
I do think that both the Lizardmen, Norska, and the Vampire Coast are probably the factions in need of the most TLC.
Yeah, for sure.
I think when I was I won't say who my guess is just yet. I'll let Fred have his section. But
that's basically it. I mean,
right.
It's like if we're not going to go into this too much, because I'm kind of agreeing with the leaks that came out as well.
I've not actually
what are these
seen
leaks?
the leaks.
Okay, so we're not going to talk about them. I'm going to show them to you guys afterwards, so that we don't guess your brain's tainted. Stop looking, Damders. I see you're clicking the link that I shown. No, I saw it. Shit's nice. So why don't you guys take your predictions first as well before we go into the leaks?
Right, I'll get us out of port. So I think the Vampire Counts need some love. And whilst it is extremely likely that we'll probably get Nagash and one DLC and no DLC ever again, I think it'd be really cool to get Neferata. After playing her in the Legions of Nagash mod, she essentially steals the Slaanesh mechanic. So I think, CA wouldn't exactly go down that route, but they could add her and then give her some sort of alternate seduction mechanic where she can kind of weave her way up through factions and get lots of vassals that way. Maybe even after the success of Golgi the Man Muncher, maybe get her as a faction that doesn't really have settlements and she just kind of leeches off everyone else. I thought that'd be quite cool.
Counterpoints. Vampires don't really have much unless you bring in the end times, and that's a different IP. So you would have a really giant DLC for that in that case.
I mean, yeah, that is true. I just want Vampire Counts.
Same.
I mean, Neferata is definitely based in the Silver Pinnacle, Like it's very, very hard lore that she's based there. But I do like the idea of having like the Undercity style vampire coven buildings and her faction being based more around sort of spreading those than painting the map. Because I think any faction that doesn't inherently just paint the map is probably a lot more interesting than the ones that do.
Mm-hmm.
It would be really cool because in the lore, the Lamias will have, like brothels, and they'll take control over not just brothels, but like dens of thieves, or like wherever in high society, where they can grab people of high society, opera houses, theaters, anything really. And the thing about vampires in Warhammer is that if you drink the blood of somebody, it gets like kind of a narcotic rush for them. Like it's like they really like getting their blood sucked off, and and they and later on they get addicted to it. So they're called swains, for example. So usually if Lamias are hiding somewhere, unless a witch hunter gets called in, usually they can like get rid of a lot of attention, and some high ranking nobleman with puncture wounds on their neck will be like, oh, nonsense! I frequent this fine brothel constantly. Me and my wife, it's date nights, and it's you should all leave.
Date night at the brothel sounds like a great time.
I mean, like if you're getting high off of vampire fangs, then
if you're getting sucked off by vampires, then sounds like ideal Friday night.
So it does work really well with like the swains and corrupting other ones and vampire covens, stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
Just saying.
If from what you've said, like if she like vampire counts don't have a lot to pull from, it would be quite cool to like give vampire counts some build variety, because their army, and I know so I'm not going to complain, but like just briefly, their army is very one note. It's just you run at enemies, that's it. But if you can get some like charmed units, similar to Draika with the elves, then that might like bring them some build variety. So you can get some like charmed crossbowmen or charmed, artillery or something ridiculous, just to give them some variety. Then you don't have to pad out their units as much. You can just kind of give them some gumph.
I mean, they always have like the a little bit of stuff. They have like the Coven Throne, I think, like then the little Ghost Swarm, like Spirit Host, and then they have stuff like that. But it's not much else they have, honestly, from that is in End Times, because in the End Times they get like the Dread Abyssals. I was confused if it's Dread Abyssal or Abyssal Dreads. Because I know one of the lore dudes, just like once I was trying to like, oh yeah, I would really like these Dread Abyssals. They would be like, oh, do you mean Abyssal Dreads? So like, yeah, sure. I was like, well, those already exist. Let's see here, because they are really, really cool, actually. I don't know if you guys seen them, but if you play the Neferata mod, for example.
I haven't played that. I need to play Neferata mod. I really must.
It really is. That Legions of Nagash mod is a must play as far as I'm concerned. It's fantastic.
So you got this thing right here. These are the mounts for them, which are really cool. Let's see here. It's mirrored, so I have a really hard time actually clicking around here.
Yeah, no, those guys are in the Nagash mod, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
So
those are really cool. Then you also have like Morghasts, which are super duper cool. These are the ones that everybody wants, 100%. So they're basically like there are in some mods, I think in the Nagash mod as well, and they basically are flying Minotaurs.
Oh yeah, I remember these guys. They are sick.
See, it's so hard to do this mirrored.
Yeah, you know what? They remind me a lot of the. Have you seen one of the new releases for Warhammer 40,000? Is I think they're Thousand Sun like dreadnoughts or something, and they're kind of like bony up on two leg type constructs, and everyone says they're terrible, and yet I fucking love them, and I don't know why everyone hates them, but they look kind of like those guys.
I think it is. I do agree that it is probably wishful thinking that we'll get. I would rather have an End Times Nagash.
Zombie Dragons as well.
Yeah. I'd rather have like a full End Times Nagash DLC that has like multiple vampire lords and kind of reintroduces them to the faction that way if you don't want to buy Warhammer 1 for whatever reason. But if we are going to get you know, if I'd rather have a vampire DLC than none, and this would be a pretty cool one because I feel like you could pull in a lot of things.
Can I tell you guys about my like PTSD from zombie dragon discussions?
Of course.
I've not already done that. So I was talking like on Reddit, right, which is already like an awful place, but they were talking about like, oh, what you could introduce to vampire counts. This is like several years ago, like when Warhammer 2 was was released just recently, basically. And I was saying like zombie dragons are really cool. They would work really well in the vampire counts roster and stuff like that because they're, you know, anti-infantry. They could do really cool stuff. They got a breath attack. And as foe has them, they are really fun to use. Like they work really well in the roster. Someone was like, no, they already have giant bats. And giant bats are better. And you don't need two types of dragons. Giant bat is already a type of dragon. So I said, okay, well, if giant bats would be a dragon, it would be the absolute worst dragon by a mile. And also that one is like strictly anti-large and specialized on that. And also the high elves have 3 goddamn dragons. And, you know, why can't they just have like a giant bat and a dragon? They're like, well, those high elven dragons have very specific purposes. Very. So I said, no, you get the star dragon when you can get that one and you stop recruiting the rest.
The best one.
Like the star dragon is the best one.
Star dragon.
Like the sun dragon has a little bit better AoE on the breath attack, but nobody gives a shit about that. Like what the actual heck?
Unless you're going against a shitload of zombies and undead, then it does not make a difference.
And this was the hill that person was going to die on, and also the hill that I would just, you know, see that hills like aren't really for me. So I would be like, all right, thank you, good night, and enjoy.
Well,
and that's what I think about every single time someone mentions zombie dragons. Like, but the high elves have 3 very specific ones. They can't have that because they have a bat. Shout out to that person.
The vampire counts really do kind of have a quite boring roster, and they really could do with like a little bit more fun sprinkled in.
I do think that rosters should have a play style. Like, I don't hate. Well, I do hate Bretonnia, but, you know, I don't hate them because they have the cavalry focus. I just don't really like playing them. But it just helps have some build variety instead of just being like, well, I'm going to get my grave guards and I'm going to get my monsters and maybe a couple of flying things, and I'm just going to, like, it is the quintessential army where you just control A and right click at the enemy. Like, there's no real strategy over them maybe flanking with some of the cav.
It is on that level where they didn't release the grave guards with halberds and shields because they knew that people wouldn't have any other type of front line. Like that would be the front line.
Yeah. I think that's like one of the cool things about the Empire roster is whilst greatswords like do have the best damage output against most infantry, they have kind of awful defense. So if you're just looking for a sturdy front line, it's sometimes worth going for the halberdiers because they just have raw better defense even if they have way less armor. I mean, on normal, on legendary, with the melee stats, I imagine it does not make a fucking difference.
Yeah,
wait, which factions do you say?
Empire, halberds, and greatswords.
Oh yeah, greatswords are really hard to use on legendary. You can, but they are too squishy. Everything in the front line for empires.
I generally think that Warhammer, or the Total War in general, needs a more interesting way of recruitment rather. I like the Beastman type thing where you have
capacities.
Yeah, you have capacities. That just makes more sense to me. That means you can say this unit's really good, but you can't have very many of them.
That would be a good thing. That would be a good thing for undead. Like the Tomb King side, it would be quite cool to see something like that. I mean, we said we weren't going to talk about reworks, but yeah, here we are. We'll keep it concise. Yeah, something where they have capacities would be good because I mean, I don't know how it works in lore, but to my mind, it makes sense. Like, oh, well, you know, you can only field so many Vargulfs, for example, because they, you know, the Necromancer's just like, he's only got so much capacity for magics.
That is kind of how it works. Well, they have to control them, and Nagash is like pretty insane with he can control almost unlimited amount of them.
Yeah, I think he has capacity in mod. Of some things.
Probably. That would actually be really cool, though. I know we talked about this before in different episodes for vampire counts, but it would be really nice if we had to add like necromancers to actually control the undead. So if you kill them, then the other ones would fade away, but otherwise they would heal up a little bit all the time.
Yeah, that would be That would be interesting, actually.
Because zombies are essentially you just put as much dark magic into stuff as possible, and they work like batteries, and then you just recharge them whenever they need to. So there's always like some dudes in the background just recharging constantly, but like wireless charging even. So it's actually the thing about with the Tide, when Gorst makes them, he just puts in a ton of dark magic into zombies, and it's like, yeah, these are better zombies. It's like, oh wow, how do you do that? Yeah, put in more dark magic. Oh, interesting. No one's thought about that before.
God, you just got me thinking of like how cool it'd be if you could funnel like magic from one unit. Say the zombies are like still really healthy, but you Tomb Kings? Graveguard. There we go. Quite low. You could funnel magic from them to another one, and it just kind of like shifts the balance. That'd be cool, but it would not work. But anyway, so yeah, that's my prediction.
So
we're on the right track again. Very cool. Neferata and who else?
You know, I was thinking Dark Elves would be a good one because obviously they're kind of like the most Slaanesh adjacent, so to speak, in terms of visual style. But then I was thinking...
Malekith's sitting there like, slander!
Yeah, of course. I know they love Kane or whatever his name is. But I feel like if you're going to do Dark Elves, you kind of need to do High Elves. So I'm going to toss one out there as a Hail Mary, and I'm going to say Bretonnia. I ain't really got anything planned for Bretonnia. I just think that then you've got like Neferata, Silver Pinnacle, isn't that like up in the wastelands somewhere?
That would be really cool, yeah.
And then you've got Bretonnia, and then you've got Slaanesh. So you've kind of got a good spread across the map for however you want to play, which seems to be how they're doing it.
Because when we did the rework stuff with Cody, that was actually really cool. Shout out to that episode. He was talking about the gunpowder and like bandits areas and like factions of Bretonnia, which would mesh really, really well with this, like the rebellious Bretonians, basically.
It would be nice to have a Bretonnia that isn't entirely, there's maybe a little bit, they're for the lady, but they kind of want the lady all to themselves. It'd be quite nice to have that because I was going through the Bretonian lords recently, and Luen's pretty boring. He just sits there, waits for Norsca to come kill him, or, kill them. Faye is extremely boring. You just fight the greenskins and wait for Kit Claw to come up. Alberic is whatever, and then Rapon's actually pretty cool. But
so if you have Bretonnia, you could also, your free LC could be Musalon.
Well, that is very true, yeah.
It
pisses me off that he's been like a legendary lord in the game for so long.
Right.
It's him and Boris. Just give us them for a free faction. I don't care. I don't care about mechanics. They can have 0 faction effects. Just let me play as Boris, damn it.
Boris used to be the strongest level 1 hero in the on the campaign for a long time. Because he used to have like the Crush the Weak, which at that time gave like -8 melee attack. Then he had like the Weiss Cloak of Ulrich, whatever it's called, White Wolf Fur, which was like -5 or -6 or something like that back in those days, melee attack. And I remember I was playing Kemler and I fought him at like turn 7 or something, and he killed off, I think, like 2 stacks of skeletons by himself because with his Reichland Runefang, he also had regeneration. So skeletons don't have that much melee attack. So he had like the -15 or something melee attack around him, just smashing shits.
I love when
Unbreak. He just didn't leave either.
I love when the effects stack. Like I was testing the Malagor thing, where you can just get like so much aura damage. You just fly him above enemies, and it just racks up thousands of damage. It's hilarious.
Yeah, that and his anti-leadership thing as well.
Oh yeah, that too. Fight against vampire counts immediately. It's just like cheating. It's so funny. But yeah, Bretonnia. Yeah. And I haven't really done as much research into Bretonnia, if I'm completely honest. I don't know if you can tell. This is very professional. But a sort of Bretonnia, but not entirely good. Maybe a bit more of a evil Bretonnia, if that exists. Like the bandits, like Cody said, of course. But
yeah, or actually just do evil Bretonnia. Just have the Mouse Lion over there. The Red Duke.
Yeah, that'd be pretty good.
Yeah.
That could be, so, my predictions, and I actually did some research on this, so you're welcome.
Wow.
First off, I think we need Thanquol.
Yeah.
Counterpoints.
I think he's required. I think we're going to get him eventually. And I think
counterpoint about Thanquol, if I may. Or am I too early? Maybe. Like vampire counts, Skaven don't have anything except for end time stuff.
Potentially.
I've also had a lot of DLCs.
Yeah, but Skaven are just fun. Everyone loves Skaven, and I think the problem with the previous DLCs has been that the character they feels like they're scraping the bottom of the barrel because like Skulltaker is who cares. Then you've got a Gorbad. Gorbad's very generic in many, and I know people are going, "Oh no, Gorbad's my favorite orc character," but he's fucking generic. He's just an orc war boss, right? He's fine.
Yeah, you're 100% correct. Both of them are super gothic generic. Like Gorbad is like he looks like any orc, and Skulltaker literally looks like any bloodthirster.
I thought Skulltaker was the generic hit lord. I thought his name would be like Dave the Skulltaker or something. But anyway, continue.
It's just a title. Everyone gets it. And then Golgfag, I genuinely forgot about. I was in the shower this morning, and I was like, "Oh, so it was Gorbad, it was Skulltaker, and shit, who was the other one? There was Arbol, but he was the free LC. What the fuck was it?" And I couldn't remember until I came down and checked and went, "Oh yeah, it was Golgfag, obviously." And I mean, while the Ogre update was nice, I think Golgfag is not super duper interesting. So I think we need a big name, and I think Thanquol would definitely be like the headliner there because he's very much and I've also thought of a good mechanic for him because he was endlessly sent on missions by the Council of 13 to basically try and get him killed, and he constantly succeeded. So what would be good would be like an Oxyotl-like mission thing where it's like the councillors sent you to go and fight, I don't know, Scarbrand, and you turn up there, and what I would like to see is every time you turn up to one of these battles, Gotrek and Felix turn up to basically ruin your day. I don't know how that would work mechanically, but it would be really funny if it did work. So that's my thinking.
I mean, I think we remember these books differently because he gets sent to missions that he has fails constantly. Like he's like the absolute like alpha failing upwards kind of dude.
Well, this is it, because basically they go, "Oh, you need to take this city," and he's like, "Oh, fuck, okay," and he turns up, and then Gotrek and Felix turn up and kill everyone, and he's still alive, and he's like, "Shit," and Bone Ripper's dead this time, and then he goes back to the council and he's like, "I'm gonna die," and they go, "Hey, good job, you managed to wipe that clan out. They were planning rebellion." He's like, yes, I did. Yes, that's exactly what I did. That's kind of here's that kind of failing upward.
But when does that happen? I always feel like it's sorry to like be the contrarian here. But I always feel like it's they hate him, all of the council, like hate him so much. He's just like too powerful and clearly favored by the Horned Rats.
Yeah,
because
you're right. He does kind of fail upwards, but I kind of like that.
Yeah, I love that as well. But the thing about Thanquol is that he's incompetent crackhead that is so stupid and hates everyone and is a danger to everyone around him, but it's just so goddamn powerful. Like he's easily one of the he's probably like top 5 most powerful spellcasters in the Warhammer world, and he's just like this meth rats, right?
Yeah, love it. Love our meth rat. Husbando. Yeah, so I think Thanquol will be a good shout, and then I think to sort of link it in, so because obviously the Skaven and Lizardmen are adversaries, and I think to link it in, and I do think Lizardmen need something. And this is a bit of a left field, but I think Lord, and I've got it here because I couldn't pronounce it, Huin Itunuchili would be a legendary lord. Now, before you go, who the fuck is that? You're right, it doesn't make much sense, but he is basically a Slan mage priest who fought a Slaanesh demon prince and won, and then apparently died during the end times. But he does have another character called, what's his name, Chakrax or something, who is effectively just, I don't know, Gorok with a different mask on, who's like his bodyguard, and I think that would work out quite, because one of the Lizardmen needs something, and this character is scraping the bottom of the barrel, but they've done it before, so why not again? And you would have a legendary lord, a legendary hero right there, ready to go. What his mechanics would be, I don't fucking know, and to be honest, I don't think it really matters, but I think it would sort of work it in there. And you'd have another Slan mage priest, which you've only got Mazdamundi at the moment.
How dare you slander the good name of Kroak?
Yeah, Kroak's a hero, though, isn't he? He's not.
Yeah, I mean, Kroak is one of those the wheels still spinning, but the hamster's dead, kind of.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that would be a good shout because that links it with the Slaanesh. I mean, the Slaanesh Demon Prince wasn't Drakala, but it was Slaanesh based, and you kind of got a
you can break on it.
You could intersect there, and for a bonus one, if you wanted like a completely out of left field free LC, Conrad, and not the Conrad you're thinking of, not the vampire count, but the character from one of the first Black Library books.
The human.
Yes.
For those of us in the audience,
is he bounty hunter or whatever?
It wasn't really anything. He was just like a human man, really.
For those of us in the audience, can we have a bit of context about who the hell that is?
Yeah, so the Conrad series was a series of books that was one of the first Black Library, but even before Black Library was a thing. These were 3 books written in the Warhammer world, and it was before the lore was really set. So the books are completely fucking unhinged, which I kind of love. They're kind of a fever dream, which I like. I remember in the second book, he bangs a demoness to death.
Hell yeah.
Which was fun. His best friend is a guy called Wolf, who has all the hallmarks of being a werewolf, but is not a werewolf until right at the end of the 3rd book, which finishes in about 5 pages, wrapping everything up in the Imperial Palace by kind of it's almost like the author went, oh shit, I need to actually draw some of these things together. And he finishes in about 5 pages in the kind of most unhinged way possible, which I kind of love.
I gotta say that the balls to have a character that is very obviously a werewolf, called Wolf, and then trying to be like, no, it's not a werewolf for 3 whole books.
It's mentioned he's got like big canines. He's wolf all the way through three books, and then until right at the end, where just before he dies, it's implied he turns into a wolf. Like literally 3 seconds before he gets a tower dumped on him. So,
I could see him being crushed, he turned into a wolf, and he's dead.
Yeah, basically. And his mechanic, I think, would just be being bewildered basically all the time. Like he's got no real agency. His victory conditions are basically a big question mark. Like he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing all the time. And
just get random ones.
Yeah, just random ones. And much like Imric has his dragon like adventures, right? Conrad should get sex adventures, where occasionally he just has like a random sex scene for no particular reason.
And we bring back the God of War 2 and 3 sex mini games.
Yes, basically
quick time events.
Very quick. Yeah, I think that just as a free LC, I think that would work really well, just because it would be very, very unhinged.
I mean, I like the idea of. I think the lords that can travel the map are quite. They're so hot right now. Like Arbol, I found him to be probably the most
so hot right now.
So hot right now.
Yeah.
And of course, Golgi was fun for about 10 minutes until he realized how pissy he was.
Don't you think people are bored of them now, though? Like, people have been complaining about those now for so long. We got so many.
I think they need to...
Like 3 last turn, like last DLC.
Last turn, wow. What a slip that was. I think that they just need to work out the formula. I think instead of just going somewhere for 1 turn and never planting any routes, I think it would be quite fun to have because like Oxyotl, he can place the teleportation thing, so he can kind of like have his network of settlements. I don't see why you would, but you can. So I feel like having someone that relies on that, and it's like, right, we need you to set up, maybe for the lizard men, if it's something to do with the Great Plan, we need you to set up in these places of geomantic power, and they're in like, the 6 spread across the map, kind of like dark fortresses, and then you have to set up some routes there and defend them, kind of like the ritual in Vortex. Yeah, but I just think traveling around the map, I don't think it's getting boring. I just think it's getting repetitive, so they need to spice it up a little bit. But yeah, that sounds sex adventure sounds fun.
Right.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and go into the leaks.
Well, but, do you not have a prediction? Or was yours just like, there's Dark Elves and that's all I got?
Oh, sorry. What was it? Was there something more than Dark Elves?
No, did you have your prediction for like a Lord or anything, or was it just High Elves and Dark Elves?
Oh, Lord. You know what? I would really, really love to see the captain of the Blackguards. He's really cool. He also does a lot of cool stuff. What's his name? He would. I would really like to see him. And then Lizardman, I'm really bad at actually knowing like who did what, where, and stuff like that. But obviously, it has to be somebody who writes like a Thunder Source or something.
Just
Thunder
put
Lizard.
together a load of consonants, and you'll probably say Lizardman name. Let's be honest.
But the captain of the Blackguards would be really cool because I really want something fun for the Dark Elves. It would be so much fun. We talked loads about reworks for Dark Elves. We're not going to do that, but just add in. Sorry.
Talaris Dreadbringer.
Yes.
Chosen of the Kane, captain of the Harganeth Executioners. He's actually in game already, isn't he? He is the faction.
Insanely hard.
He's the faction leader of the faction of Dark Elves that start on the north of Ulthuan.
Cult of Cain or something like that.
Yeah, I think he's the faction leader.
I was thinking of
probably means he'll never get added then.
Paran Darkhands, captain of the Blackguards of Nagaroth.
Wait, who is Talaris then?
You said the captain of Executioners is the captain of Blackguards.
The Blackguard.
So he actually holds off Valky and stuff like that. He's a really good fighter because he's been fighting for thousands of years and was just, raised from a child to just fight constantly for the Witch King. So he's kind of cool.
He's received compliments from Valky the Bloody.
Yeah. And Valky is like previous to the end times, she's only fought to standstill like by Mortkin, I think. Then in the end times, it happens like 3 times.
Clearly, you didn't watch her trailer. Am I right, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would work really well because Valkyrie, isn't she in that neck of the woods, kind of up in the Nagaroth north?
Right north.
Yeah, that'd be a good shout.
Like depending on where he's going to be. But I said several times that it's really weird how they push their characters to where they kind of end up in the end times. Like Festus ends up in Altdorf. Valky ends up in Nagarond, or in Nagaroth at least, and like a bunch of stuff like that all the time. They just put them like where they kind of end up in the end times.
I mean, this is probably
mysterious.
Yeah, it's probably a topic for a different speculation video, but like it does seem like they are setting up like an end times Giga DLC that will like transform the map, hopefully, which will be very cool.
Because
I'll wait and see.
Yeah. All right. Should we move on to the leaks now?
I think we should.
Yes, I'm excited.
I'm kind of not following the conversation where I zoned out a little bit. No, I'm just kidding. So
that's me whenever you talk about law, so it's fine.
Okay, I'm just gonna read here what they say. This is like leaks, okay? So we don't know. And from what I've talked to CA a bunch of times in real life, like in convention things like that, and I could guarantee that CA hardly even knows what they're gonna release before it's 100% set, because the production pipelines just work really goddamn weird at companies like this, right? Like they can have, rattling guns almost ready, but then you only find the sound files for them in the files for Warhammer 2 launch, for example. But the rattling guns didn't work. They couldn't get them to work for launch. They just had to wait for a DLC to put them in, because you have money and you have time, right? And you can't always put in. You don't have endless amounts of time, so sometimes you just got to cut content if it's not actually good. So who knows if these leaks are real? And even if they are real, we don't know if they're going to be 100% anyway. That's the caveat. So here's what they write. Approximately one by user Mysterious Attempt 6 on the Total War subreddit at time recording 2 days ago. Approximately 1 month ago, CA held an in-person interview in Shanghai, China. It appears to contract a UX research company. Now, UX is an old Latin word meaning wife, but also it means user experience in these contexts.
That makes more sense.
To manage the process, but lack security caused several leaks regarding future DLC plans. So the next one, according to them, would be High Elf, Norska, and Slaanesh. And then you would have Sea Lord Island for sea stuff. You get Caradrin the Flame. You have Sea Helms. You have Meerworms and Sea Elementals.
Okay.
I can actually do this maybe even, so you guys can see a little bit of pictures. The Sea Elementals, and then we also have this one, but I can't actually read it like that because, man, I really need to fix this so that we can.
I'm just going to point out, I've been checking the comments, and someone said this person's only other post is trying to leak something else 4 months ago and it got deleted. So take this with a gigantic grain of, not even a grain, a whole brick of salt. One of those Himalayan ones that you can cook a steak on.
Yeah, fair.
But still,
right, before we get through my instant question is, why the fuck would they do an in-person interview in China?
Yeah, well, when all of the staff is located in, the CA staff is
in the UK and in Bulgaria. That doesn't really, I don't know. It just immediately just makes me go, why the fuck would they do that?
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Not to mention that, and you can cut this if you like, but we've heard nothing about the next DLC as content creators, like nothing. We've got no information whatsoever.
I was just to imagine it's something like
that don't mean shit.
Probably like the best business deal.
But it just comes across as very suspect.
I mean, it's just like these are the names of some units. These are some pictures from a Warhammer wiki, and then just like a random roadmap that I think that is. I don't know, this kind of sounds like bullshit to me. We can look through it, but it sounds like bullshit.
Yeah, it does sound like bullshit.
Yeah, probably. But you know what? Sometimes it's nice just talking about that. So you have, for Norse, you have Sail the Faithless and Beorg Bearstruck. And Beorg Bearstruck is Werebear, so he's really cool. He's one of the two brothers, isn't he?
I thought he was a regiment of, he was one of the Dogs of War.
Yeah, but he was a mercenary as well. He fought against Valka in the end times as well. So he was on the side of not destroying the world.
It's a bold play, Cotton. I think it's just
and Sail the Faithless is also actually a good pick because they're a Dolgan Archmage, which is Dolgans are like Slaaneshi dudes who like just have like leather harnesses in the cold and just run around.
It's fun.
So they're pretty cool. I guess also good horsemen and stuff. As all of them actually, should be. Most of them. I mean, like these are tribes in the north. I know somebody's going to comment on that. It's typically not Norska unless it's from the company of Norska. Otherwise, they're just northern barbarians.
But close enough.
Yeah. And
Praeton as a new unit?
Yeah, Praetons are really, really cool. That's something that they added into the old world. It's like a dragon that has a moose head almost. Yeah, I know you've seen those. It's just, but I was like, what the heck is a Praeton? Like, oh, those. But they look really cool.
Do you think we should I feel like we've just kind of been reading this on our own in silence. I think we should kind of like just give us a clean take of this.
I mean, my immediate suspicion is like this is complete bullshit.
It's when you get to the end and it says End Times DLC and it'll be a 5-faction content pack. Fucking shit. Why would, and then someone else point out, why would the Beastmen get one more DLC? Like the Beastmen are pretty much perfect.
Okay, the massive red flag, like the man running across a field with a big red flag, is the sentence, there will be a DLC for Monkey King with his own faction. I'm like, CA are not going to put that much effort into one fucking faction.
No, definitely not.
No.
That's complete and utter bullshit.
There's some possibility for a Tomb Kings DLC. This is just like stuff that you want. Don't lie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So also going to have this caveat. This thread on the Reddit, it has 109 comments and 0 upvotes.
The people asking for source in the comments, the person's like, just wait for the DLC. I can't provide any proof because it's an in-person meeting.
There's just so like a in-person interview in China. Like I CA are cagey enough with us about information, let alone just going to China and being like, hey guys, here's the next 5 content packs. What do you think? It's like, no, they're not going to.
But it's always like some Russian journalist always like leaking shit anyway.
Yeah.
It's
But
unfortunate.
it's usually information that like is out to the press already, and then they just come out early with it. Like,
Yeah.
I really don't think that CA would do an in-person interview.
No, especially without
China.
Games Workshop there to like literally hold a gun to the back of their head.
But it's one of those things, right? I think that it's probably bullshit. It does sound like a good theory of what could happen, but always like anything is a good guess because you never know what's going to happen. Like Malice Darkblade, who should he fight? Yeah, this ninja ras. Like, oh, when does that happen in the lore? Never. When is he coming into contact with the Skaven? What? You know? So who really knows? I did enjoy the speculation though. But the End Times DLC, I'm kind of like getting behind.
I don't think
because
that's something outlandish. That's not a leak.
No.
I think that's just kind of a common theory in the entire Warhammer community, really.
But I wouldn't be surprised if they're keeping like the End Times as like a phase of Warhammer 3. Like they do set number of DLCs, and then it's like, okay, now we're the End Times, and we can start adding the End Time units in. That's what I'm thinking.
So you'll think they'll like finish off the Warhammer fantasy stuff, and then it's like, right, this is the first End Times DLC, and then it'll just be like Nagash, Sigmar, whoever.
Yeah.
I don't know who End Times is.
Then there'll be like a
that's a good shout.
A phase.
Just normal DLCs, but we're now in the End Times. So.
Yeah, they might release it as like a mini update. I don't know, like a mini expansion, like the End Times map or something, and then you have the End Times like factions, but it links into Immortal Empire, so everyone plays it anyway.
Yeah, it should just be like Immortal Empires, but the version is the End Times. Because I don't understand why they haven't had that actually like chapter packs like the Kingdoms had, where they just change the map depending on what starting date you take. So you just have like End Times, and you have just different starting positions, slightly different mechanics if you need that, or more mechanics, more units.
That would be a really good way to get a lot more mileage out of the same map.
Yeah, like a lot more. So like the chat packs, I thought was so insanely good. Like you played Sao with 4 different starting positions in 3 Kingdoms, 3 or 4, and it's just brilliant. Like the last one, you just have like a giant empire as well.
Yeah, it's kind of like it would be really cool to have like an End Times map where, you know, Chaos have already invaded the north of the Empire, so you start off as Carl, but immediately you're in contact with that sort of. It's an entirely different experience than spending the first like 5 turns dealing with the Reichland rebels, whatever the fuck they are.
Yeah, it would change the game for literally just everyone. Like Cafe, maybe they could have like lost the Bastion, they're all pushed back because. I'm not gonna lie, the Great Bastion is kind of really boring of a mechanic because you just kind of sit there and hope that it doesn't die. But if you've already lost it, it's like, well, shit. Now, like the gameplay is getting back to it, pushing back the tide of chaos, and then reclaiming it. Whereas before, you just have to like, oh, can you confederate so I can have the Great Bastion, please? Or you just wait for chaos to come kill them and then colonize it yourself. But yeah, that's
It would be really, really cool to have stuff like that. Also, it would be a very interesting challenge for CA because right now, the best gameplay is like before turn 50. So then they would have to have, here's turn 50. This is how interesting it's going to get for you. Like you're already in mid-game. You're well into mid-game. You have a small empire. Things are looking rocky. And now it's time for you to go to work.
I do wonder how they would balance it for the more chaotic factions. Obviously, Chaos has got a lot of infighting, but, you know, if Chaos is ruling most of the world, like if you... I assume they just have to like move everyone's starting positions down because otherwise you'd just be like Archeon fighting Chaos forever.
So in the End Times, Skaven do the heavy lifting. They actually do the heavy lifting. It's one of those things where everybody will blame Manfred, but actually he's like the absolute last drop that breaks the camel's back, basically, because Skaven are just doing most of the work, like 70% of all the work. And then you have like Chaos doing like 20% of work. And then you have, you know, the Games Workshop executives that need to find somebody to blame. And then you have Manfred at the very bottom. Just carrying all the brunt hatred for everything.
Yeah, because isn't the Chaos Force's ultimate goal Middenheim?
Yeah, I mean, like if we really want to get into it,
that's where the Chaos Gate is, right? Under Middenheim.
Yeah, I think something like that. They
only really get as far as Middenheim, which isn't that far south, really. And basically, everything south of Middenheim is taken out by the Skaven. Basically, everything south and everything outside of the Empire is then destroyed by the Skaven. I think that's the best way of putting it. Is like everything else is just Skaven totaled, and the Chaos Force is only actually Archaon only manages to get to Middenheim, which is kind of a scrub move, to be honest.
I mean, also Chaos I don't think Chaos really knows that Archaon wants to destroy the entire world, because that's kind of an Archaon thing that he's gonna do. The Chaos wants to, rule the world and have everything where everything is just chaotic wasteland. Everybody fights for the Dark Gods. Everybody, prays to them and makes them more powerful. But Archaon just hates the Chaos Gods most of all. He's like their biggest hater.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the idea of that.
I think that would work really well. I mean, you wouldn't even have to have you to start turn 50, but you could have Karl starting with the Reichlands and the rest of the Empire under threat.
Yeah. Because that's really cool, because then your Empire would be allied with vampires, and you would have to fight Chaos, and Chaos would also have like a small contingent of blood dragons, and Cathay would have to fight Grimgor's Gigawa that has ogres in it.
Ooh, yeah, a lot of hybrid factions in the end times. That'd be pretty fun.
Yeah, that'd be really cool, actually.
And Dark Elves has to fight and guess High Elves, and then they become a hybrid faction and have to guess to the Wood Elves as well, for example. And, a lot of them will just fight Skaven as well. Like Lustria will just be Skaven Haven, as it's kind of already is. It could be really, really cool, honestly. I mean, Lustria will be roughly the same, honestly.
Yeah.
So, like full of Chaos and Skaven.
I think...
surely Lustria would have just a giant hole in it.
I think...
Because don't the Skaven land more slab onto Lustria?
Yeah, Master Mundi would just get some geomantic web, geomancy, geomantic web stuff, and also be there in Lustria trying to save everybody. That would actually be a really cool map.
I think something about the End Times map that Immortal Empires can't really do because of just how it is a sandbox is that you could have a lot of things that actually affect the entire map. Like, if you're playing as one of the good factions, you can maybe do some giant ritual and it kind of helps you push back. It makes corruption really hard to take hold. Or if you're playing as one of the evil ones, it just floods an area with corruption and rebellions and stuff. It opens up the doors for a lot more interesting map changing things. Because whenever we talk about the Changeling, it's he has all these really cool sounding things, but they don't do anything. But I feel like in End Times you can have a lot more fun with that because it's a lot less of a sandbox, even though it still is.
In this leaks/wish list, they also add in that the map is supposed to be more. It's supposed to be kind of changeable as well. Like you will be able to get rid of the vortex. You can sync Ultron and things like that.
It's not going to fucking happen.
No, but it would be really cool.
It would be cool, I grant you, but I don't think the map has the ability to do that. I don't think they can actually change things on the map that level.
I wish the vortex had more impact. Because even in Warhammer 2, where it was the campaign, it didn't do anything. It was just kind of there. I think there's one settlement where you can get a landmark and it gives you some magic. That's right. Granted, it's been a while since I played there. But it looks cool. Just don't do nothing.
It does look nice. I mean, that's true of the Warhammer lore in general. It's just kind of there. It doesn't actually do anything.
Olek would be down by the Tomb Kings as well. Would be cool stuff.
Definitely. So this leak, in conclusion, what's your name?
Bullshit.
Mysterious Attempt 6? Bullshit. See you in Mysterious Attempt 7. But End Times DLC, that's something that we would like to see and hopefully we'll see. But we will have to see.
A new map. That would be cool.
Wait. All right. The time for the best part. So we're going to try and guess the name of the DLC, and because all of these DLCs have had a bit of a meme name. So, I've had Shadows of Price Change, Thrones of Delay, and Omens of Disappointment. So what do you guys think this DLC is going to be called if Slaanesh is the headliner? And then what do you think the making fun of CA name will be? Go on, Monsters.
I think something Storm. Sign of the Storm.
Storm of Seduction.
Yeah, Storm of Seduction. Sauce.
pearl necklace.
Oh goodness me!
No.
I thought you had one lined up.
I don't know.
I thought you had one lined up.
No, I have nothing. I've got zilch. I mean, okay. So assuming that we're taking so we got that weird slam that no one's ever heard of, Thanquol and Drakala. I'm just like, I mean, seduction's got to be in there, right? Somewhere. So probably something like, I don't know, Fatty Rat Love.
This is a high effort podcast that you've tuned into, folks. If you've just joined at the whatever minute mark we're at.
You've literally just arrived here, you're immediately going, and I'm gone.
I think if for mine, because it'd be Neferata, who is like seduction adjacent, Bretonnia, who has been seduced, and, you know, Slaanesh goes about saying, I think like seats of seduction or something like that. Because then it's like you got your different seats of power, but also seduction. But then for the meme name, now that is a tough one. Come back to me. Go on, Fred. What do you got?
I already said it. Size of Storms. There's a Storm of Seduction.
Yeah.
I think Storm of Seduction is pretty seductive. Storm. Yeah, it needs to be something of something, doesn't it?
Storm of Seduction. I think something like that. And then you have like people, was it somewhere like a high elf being there on like a boat or something?
It's just on a boat.
Yeah, in a storm.
I'm on a boat.
which in battle he opens a portal and the boat comes out, slams some people, and then goes back into another portal.
I gotta say though, like the Wulfric does not get enough credit for being such a goddamn badass. In the end times, he actually uses that move, but he's fighting a giant dragon that is really hard to fight. So like during this nighttime storm thing, he's like holding the mast and just like riding the boat as it's teleporting into the goddamn dragon to impale it. Like in the skyline, you see this boat coming out of the portal.
That's a very,
it's like crashing into like a dragon.
With the steel chair moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh my god,
it's just one of those.
Going to crash a boat into it.
It's such a cool goddamn thing, and like nobody ever talks about Wulfric, like how just that is such a metal moment.
Can you imagine though? You literally just the most metal thing ever. You've ridden your Viking boat with your big beard, and you're probably like not wearing much clothing because you're a Viking, and you've just ridden your warp boat through the warp, the horrors of the warp, straight through into reality, and you just slammed it into a dragon, right? Killing that dragon, and you're like, yes! And then like, oh, my fucking boat, I've just destroyed it. Oh god, how am I going to get home?
No, actually, in one of the other books, he gets tricked into going to Ultron. So he lands in Cathike, I think it is, and instantly, like the dudes just like surround them, kill them. His boat gets wrecked. So him and his friend is like holding on to the figurehead of the boat, basically just going through the warp like this.
It's like Jack Sparrow.
That's like one of
the Caribbean.
Yeah, that's the like enchanted part of the boat. So that's all he needed. So he just like rides little figurehead basically.
You can see some demons there chilling in the warp, watching these two people go past, and the figurehead going, this place gets weirder by the day, doesn't it?
It just get weirder when the giant skyscraper dwarf comes around just to kill all of them endlessly.
Right. Should we move on to what we've been playing?
Yes,
right,
let's do that.
We're going to try and keep it a bit more concise and just talk about one thing in a bit more detail rather than jump in between.
Oh, but I've got two things.
But that's illegal.
I didn't know it was illegal until just now.
I think if I want to talk about one game that I've been playing, I'd like to talk about Foundation. Fred mentioned it a few weeks back.
Pretty good.
I've really been enjoying that. It's so nice and chill. And it's got a really fun, organic way of like growing a town from like 2 houses to like, I'm working on stone walls at the minute. And I just think it's not particularly super difficult once you've got things going, but it's just a very, very satisfying to play, I find.
A nice chill experience.
It's always like that in Call of Duty. They're like really stressful until you like kind of figure out what to do. Then you just play it on the hardest if you want to, but like it's really matter too much.
Yeah, the one problem that I ran into was so to make glass you need quartz, and you can either trade with that but the people for some reason didn't want to come to my town to give me quartz. Or you can prospect these little ore deposits all over the map. And I have found one, unfortunately. It's about 6 tiles away, so I would have to buy 6 tiles of territory to just place a quartz thing there. And each tile of territory has like an increasing amount of cost and upkeep. So I don't really want to do that. And it did kind of grind me to a little bit of a halt, but...
Can't just buy those things?
I tried, but for some reason the kingdom wouldn't come trade with me. I don't know why. I've tried to like start the kingdom quest line, and that seems to have helped a little bit, but it was a little bit slow going there. But I love production chains. That stuff is so nerdy and fun to me.
Yeah, I actually installed Anno 1800 as well recently. It's amazing game.
Good. I have to, that and Factorio, I have to physically restrain myself from playing. Otherwise, I just won't do anything else. And I was literally sorry, go on.
Sorry, you're gone.
I was literally like, I could do an updated Anno guide. There's been barely any updates since my last one. I just kind of want an excuse to play it and talk about it again. But I think 170 is that this year? Hope it's this year.
Maybe. It's going to be interesting to see what they do there, because it feels like it's just less than the other ones.
Yeah, I'll be a bit worried to see how they have everything, because surely like 170 things are a little bit more basic than in 1800.
Yeah.
You're not exactly making cars and tractors, are you?
Yeah. Another really good call, and the same, like one of my favorite ones is Timberborn.
Oh, that's so cute and fun. I saw the zip lines update. I want to jump back on. That looks so fun.
It's such a good one. It's you have droughts, and then all water disappears. There's so many things you need water for, and like running water. And then you start like building these giga reservoirs. Like you really use dynamite to like hollow out a big hill, and then you just build stuff around it. And you just have this giant water reservoir. So it's like, oh, it's a drought now. Open the waterfall reserve.
It's so. I love when games just like base their gimmick around one thing. Like if you get that game down to a science, it is just, a water management game. All the colonies building and stuff is, that's whatever. It all comes down to water management, and it is just so fun trying to work out, right, if I keep my water here, then I can keep my farms. But, my people need plenty of water to survive. So I'll make an extra little dam over here, and that'll hold like water in this big lake, and they can use that to drink. Then I can transport that between my towns. And it's just so fun finding ways to solve a relatively basic problem that causes so many cascading issues. I think that's a great example.
My wife came in one day when I was playing that one off stream, and she was like, "What are you doing?" It's like, my beavers invented irrigation. I used to have like these little water lanes, so that like the fields can be watered during droughts from the water reservoir stuff.
And what did she respond to that?
Ooh, and she sat down. She actually likes watching those city builders.
Oh, you're lucky. I was playing Elite Dangerous once with my.
She ain't gonna be interested in that.
I was using my joystick and throttle.
Oh hell yeah, dude!
Yeah. My wife walked in. She took one look at me and went, "You know what? Sometimes I regret some choices in life," and then walked out again.
Your wife didn't want to play with your joystick. Sorry, it was right there. It was right there.
She did not. She didn't want to play with a throttle either.
Oh, disappointing. Elite Dangerous is not like a spectator sport, because 90% of it is just.
Just
me going out of focus is extremely well timed, because that's how it feels.
It is.
My wife loves watching some games, especially if it's like a little bit more story game. She was really into Days Gone. She's like, did he find his old girlfriend?
So Foundation, that's the game that I want to talk about, and I very much enjoyed it. And Fred, thank you for your recommendation. Whenever Fred recommends something, I'm like, I want to play that, and I never do. But this one, I saw it on sale. I was like, you know what? Treat myself, and I've really, really been enjoying it. I haven't played it for a couple of weeks. I got back into, a couple of weeks, like one. So I got back into Graveyard Keeper, but I do want to come back and finish off and get in those tech trees.
How far are you into Graveyard Keeper?
Let me just double check. 36 hours, so about 10%.
Yeah, the end game pacing killed it for me, but everything up until then is fantastic. But end game pacing was so bad because I had kind of like done everything. Like I had zombies just managing everything. Yeah. So all I had to do was just like talk to this person on Tuesday. All right, sit there, meditate on a tree, wait, go do that, wait for Tuesday. Oh, the next one is like, and it would be just an awful day. It would just be 5 days afterwards, or like 6 days, and just sit there and wait.
Yeah, it's built to have a lot of like gaps in between doing things, and it's so upsetting when you're like, right, so I've got 3 days until I need to talk to this person, so I'll just go do all these jobs, and then the day passes because you're busy doing something else, and you're like, oh, fuck.
So wait, you said Graveyard Keeper, you've got zombies doing everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a DLC where you could add in so zombies just manage stuff. They're like, hey, can you bury our dead? And you're like, kinda. Eventually.
Yeah, it feels like it's gone like you've taken your job description and gone. Yeah, I mean, what does keep mean? I can do whatever I like with these dead bodies.
I mean, one of my favorite Warhammer characters is Makaisen, so like lore-wise. So, I mean, I should probably explain it, right?
Monsters, what have you been playing apart from Elite Dangerous, of course?
Oh, I haven't played Elite Dangerous in fucking ages, but I really should play that again for about 5 minutes before realizing it literally is just 90%
I just not got time.
out of focus. It really is. Okay, I've been playing two things. That's right. I'm going to already buck because there's two things I want to talk about. The first is Endless Legend 2.
Ooh, I had a go at that yesterday.
Yeah. What did you think of it?
Well, I got stuck on I just had an infinite saving thing, but it was the early access demo, so that's fine.
It's early access preview, so
it feels a little bit more. It feels like Age of Wonders a little bit, but not quite as high fantasy, and a little bit more just normal fantasy. I mean, I wasn't like super engrossed, but I feel like with those games, you can need to learn how everything works. Then you really, really get into it. It seemed all right.
I mean,
that's basically what I felt as well. It's I was doing it for like maybe an hour or something like that. Then a quest chain broke. I was like, oh, it's an early access demo. It's what happens. But I was like, yeah, probably not enough time to actually get into it. It would be more fun if you had more time into it, but I wasn't like super duper into it. But I think I might be.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, having played it for I got about 10 hours, I do enjoy what I've played. But I will say that I think Endless Legend 1 looks significantly more distinct than Endless Legend 2. Endless Legend 2, if you were to show me a picture of Endless Legend 2 with no context and went, what game is this? I wouldn't really be able to tell you. Whereas if you show me a picture of Endless Legend 1, I'd be like, that's Endless Legend 1. That's an easy one to...
Yeah, the UI is a little bit jank in the first one, but it has definitely got more of a style.
Yeah, I mean, I will say that the Endless series in general, the UI is usually very good. Like, it feels very slick. Like, everything makes nice noises when you click it, which is good. And I do like the fact that all the factions are asymmetrical, so they each play very differently, which is cool. And Endless Legend 2 is pretty good, but having played the early access preview version, I did hit a number of bugs, which is to be expected. And I think the pacing isn't great at the moment, in that you kind of, when you start, you tend to start on an island, because every so often, basically, the sea recedes. So you get more and more space to explore, which is quite cool. The idea being that you continue to get this exploration phase, which I like, but those phases seem to be very far apart. So there's been quite a few games where I've just been sat there waiting on my island, waiting for the sea to go back because I've got nothing else to do and I've just got cities to build and stuff. And it feels pretty good, and it's early access, so I have to give it that. But yeah, while things can change with the gameplay, the aesthetics for me is something like, I don't know why they went so generic fantasy compared to the previous game, which was very identifiable. But I mean, it's still a good game. It's just that it's not something that it's not a be all and end all. It's just something where I go, why did you do that? But
yeah, I think part of what I really like about Age of Wonders 4 is like how hard it leans into the fantasy. Like you got giant rats, you got little gnome dudes, you got the birds, and everyone looks very I'm trying to think of the right word. Like, I don't want to say caricature, but it's like when you think
distinct.
Yeah, there you go. If I told you to think of a bird person, you would pretty much think of exactly Age of Wonders 4. It's a big, tall, lanky person with skinny legs and clawed feet and feathers. Whereas in that, there's just like there's the what's it called, the robot guy, and he's just got the flowing head, and I'm like, I mean, that's kind of cool, but it's not very unique. It's not very interesting. And then you just got like people. But obviously,
they all kind of look like. They all look like if an AI made an idea and then humans put it into a game.
The aspects. There we go.
Yeah, I quite like the aspects because I didn't think I would, but they like spread their coral So normally, if you want to interact with a minor faction, you either have to pay them, destroy them, or do a quest for them. And the aspects can just plant coral next to them, and then it grows on them, and then they're pacified, which means it's a lot easier for them to do that. Quite how that works, I don't know, but that's how it works. So
that's because you corral them.
Well, I don't know. Either that, or maybe it's just like, I don't know, like some really good shit, so they can just like break bits off and smoke it. Who knows? The important thing is that they can then deal with minor. They're more of a diplomatic faction compared to the war. I think it's the Wardens, who are, they get extra buffs based on how much fortifications they have. So it's just a very different sort of game experience, which is nice. But yeah, it's early access. It's currently fine. I'm excited to see how it goes.
Yeah,
it seems good.
Okay, so I had to check if my English wasn't good enough, but corralling them means that you bring them together. It's an English word for that.
It is. It was good.
For the corral.
I kind of got into that that thing that I sometimes get with strategy games where I'm not entirely sure what I'm doing, where you're just kind of mashing end turn because not much seems to happen. Like, all right, all my armies are moving, my cities are building things, so I'm just mashing end turn. There doesn't seem to be a ridiculous amount of things to do. Even like when I was, I don't know, like 30, 40 turns in.
Yeah.
And then you pick up these quests and it just like, all right, bring us 10 of this resource. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? I like literally can see no way to get it. And then it opens up on the stock market, but I can't buy it because I don't have a trade post. I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, and it could be like when the sea recedes, you can sometimes see you can see things poking out of the shallow sea, which is going to be the next bit that's revealed. But you can't see what that is. There's nothing that you can't hover over it and it'll go, oh, this is this. So you just have to kind of either know what it is or wait until it recedes and know what. But there's no, it's just stuff like that. But it's fine. It's early access, so it seems quite fun. But the other thing I've been playing is more Distant Worlds 2, and I cannot go on about how fucking good this game is. I love it. It's so much better than Stellaris.
Whoa.
Yeah, I said
Fighting words.
Yep, I've said it. And you know why it's better than Stellaris? Because it doesn't fluff the actual warfare and stuff. It actually does warfare right. Warfare feels good, and I like that. And I like watching my big fleets of ships meet the enemy fleets of ships, and I like watching stuff explode, and that's very pleasing to me, and that's why I love that game. So
oh my god. I tell you what, it's definitely fighting Stellaris on the UI pawn. Jesus Christ. The screenshot, the ship one. Holy fuck.
The UI isn't actually that bad in Distant Worlds. They're like most things are on screen that you can just click on it easily. In Stellaris Endgame, you're gonna have scroll wheels upon scrolls.
It's more like if you want to build a ship in Stellaris, it goes, here are 5 boxes for you to fill. Enjoy. It's like it gives you 5 things. It goes, now put the things in the boxes. Okay. With Distant Worlds 2, it goes, here's a pile of shit. Just pile it in, and I'm going to tell you why you're wrong. It's a very different experience, but
Distant Worlds 2 is really cool because it is incredibly complex, but it also, you can automate so many things. So all the time the computer is like, don't you want to build more construction ships so you can fix up this quadrant that you own? Don't you want to fix up that quadrant? Just press here. I'll do it for you. Oh, you want to scout that? Press there and you can do it. Like you can literally.
It goes, are you sure you don't want to do that? No. But are you absolutely sure?
It's like that. What's it called? Like those battlefield simulators, Epic Battle Simulator or whatever. It's like that, but Space Empires. You can play it like that, but obviously, like it's not optional, but you can see your crap people murder.
The one problem I think with this game is that there's no way of easily telling the game you want to do something and not have the game change it. So for example, if you want to say, I'm going to take this fleet and it's going to be based in this system, if you have not turned off the fleet automation or whatever fucking option it is, the game will immediately go, no, they go there. And it doesn't matter how many times you go, no, they go here. The game will go, no, they don't fucking go there. They go fucking here, okay? Until you go and find that list into the list of options with all of the little headers that drop down. You go scrolling down. You go for the tooltip, and you have to read. And it goes, automates fleet base locate. Okay, if I turn that off, and now I can do. But the problem is, there's no way of going, how do I turn this off? Like, I want to do this myself. How do I tell the game I want to do that without the game going, working out yourself? Fuck you. That's the only problem with Distant Worlds 2. But otherwise, it's fucking amazing.
That's pretty cool. How do you like the latest DLC, the two factions? What was it like? It was space mind flayer crabs.
Yeah. So
and murderous Luddites Ewoks.
So you've got the Wakuras, who are the cranky Squigwards. Their ships have got like more engine slots on them, so they can be like really fast. And they've got like a quite powerful weapon and stuff. They're quite cool. They're also slightly psychic resistant because there's a crisis. It's always the same crisis, but it's definitely more interesting than any of the Stellaris ones, where like these aliens called the Shakturi return, and they've got these big fleets, and you have to build like a big alliance against them, which is quite cool. So I've tried them; they're quite good. The Atuk, who are now someone has described them as 40k orcs crossed with a Furby, and I think that's probably the best sort of. So they're super friendly, but their ships are shit. But they're also completely like immune to psychic attacks, so they can fight the Shakturi with no issue. And they're they're pretty terrible at everything, but they can focus in to do one thing. So they can be like, they're going to be extra. I don't know. There's gonna be more of them, and then they get like a massive increase in their reproduction, but they're still shit at everything else. But then they can change to making more money, but then they're bad at everything else, and they can kind of do that, and that's quite cool. I quite like it. Plus, I don't know why, but I really like the ship designs for the Atuk. They're kind of like this weird retro 60s sci-fi look, but I actually quite like them for some reason. So I do want to try them out. I've tried the Wakuras, and they're pretty cool. So it's such a good game. I just love it so much.
Fred?
So I don't know when last we spoke. When Nordhold was pretty cool. That's a really cool tower defense thing. That's like super duper good tower defense roguelike. Would definitely recommend that one if anyone likes tower defense at all. And then the Age of Wonders 4 US DLC, the Giant Kings, also did DLC for Distant Worlds 2. All of those really, really good. Age of Wonders 4 is like in the best place it's ever has been. It's a really good DLC, I felt.
That game is criminally underplayed.
Which one?
Age of Wonders.
Yeah, it is.
Really
if
is.
you look on the community page at any point,
yet.
there's like 2,000 people. It's crazy. It's so good.
Yeah, but I think it's one of those games where people go in and then they kind of play it and then it's like, it's fine.
Yes,
well, what's the peak ever for Age of Wonders 4?
Let me pop up the Steam DB thing. I mean, it's currently at 2,500. Talk amongst yourselves. Yeah, whenever I love playing that game, and I like making videos for it, but they just like, obviously the only reason that we make videos isn't to get views because we make this, but it's hard to justify it. Where is the bloody play count of all time?
Yeah, I've not actually played the Giants yet. They do look quite cool though.
43,000.
Yeah, they're really cool. So then they also change stuff with merch and stuff like that coming in.
Yeah,
so you can buy stuff from them, and like it's just really good. You also get like quest lines from somebody else. So the more reputation you get with them, the more you can buy from them. Then you buy like really powerful artifacts and things. Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, just under 43,000 players like the day after it launched, and then the highest peak since then is about 15k in November of last year.
Yeah, I can kind of sense that on my own view statistics from whenever I stream it. Like first couple of like 2 weeks was crazy, and then just kind of fell off, and yeah.
It's sad. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just because it's not particularly infinitely replayable because it is a bit more story led, or if it just doesn't have the mass appeal. But yeah, if you like strategy games and you like role playing games and you want something that's kind of a bit in between and a bit kind of like not easy to play but a bit more casual than something like Total War, then Age of Wonders 4 it's brilliant. Really can't.
The only thing I would say about Age of Wonders is that I wish the sort of mid to end game was less grindy.
Yeah,
because it does slow down a lot, and I find particularly because you have to move your armies in a big blob because the AI will.
Yeah.
It means that you end up like clicking 4 or 5 times to move your armies around, I'm just like, don't let reinforcements help. Make the armies twice as big. Boom.
Yeah,
done.
the small army size seems like a really cool thing, and it is in the early game because it means that battles are never like too complicated. It's just like, right, I've got my front lines, got my range, maybe a flanker, and I got my lord. And the lords are always really cool. But yeah, the end game definitely turns into a bit more of like a just organization gore, which is insane. And also the multiplayer shit.
On Brutal, you kind of have to have like 4 or 5 or 6 armies just in a clump because the AI will have this.
Yeah, and that's when I really switch off from that game. Is like, I don't want to have to keep moving all these guys every turn. It just becomes a bit sort of.
I think the problem with Age of Wonders 4 is the same kind of Stellaris has in the end, but it's not fully there. It's that you can make anything into anything. So you can have cat people, but then you can change their traits, right? So it's just a cosmetic thing. So the cat people are just like the orcs if you want them to, or like the mole people or whatever. And then you just have one of the other ones. So you need a little bit more tomes, a little bit more specialization. But in the end, like, it's a really good game regardless. That's like, once you start talking about Siege replay bugs in Warhammer 3, kind of like you're jaded at this point, like, it's still a good game. You're going to have a lot of fun with it anyway.
Yeah,
I also played
like making like a big dragon and being like, this is my dragon, isn't he cool?
Yeah. Or just having your faction being like enchantments. it's like every little bit of them is glowing like, like magical fingernails and, good, enchanted hair tufts from their ears and things like that.
Having the tomes you pick kind of be the way you kind of build your faction is so really cool. Yeah, it's just because every time you go, you can be like, I'm going to try something different this time.
God, you make me want to play it. I think it might have my favorite city building out of maybe like any strategy game. I just love like the gold. Gold is for buildings, and then food is for recruitment. And if you don't have either of those going, you just get extra. It's just so. Anyway.
Yeah, food is for population surplus.
Yeah, sorry, but you don't use it to recruit, and if not, you just make surplus extra food.
Yeah, you use gold for recruitment is a food population, but if you're not recruiting, it'll go into the is it like one of the either you're not building something or not recruiting?
Yeah, that's what I meant.
More. I think not recruiting is money.
Whichever way around it is.
Possibly.
I like the fact that you can recruit and build at separate times. It always, I mean, it maybe takes some strategy out of it, but it always frustrates me in Civ where it's like, right, so there's barbarians there, so I could really use a slinger. However, that library of Alexandria is not gonna, it's not gonna build itself.
You can also rush insta buy them as well, depending.
And it's also all the little reasons. Yeah, I love that game. It's great.
Yeah, I think my biggest problem with it is the fact that what I want to do is explore the world with my little band of guys, and instead the AI is like, nope, I'm going to build a fucking city everywhere, and now you're going to have to do that too. Yeah.
Anyway, really good game. We'll recommend it, seems.
Yeah, definitely.
I also played Win the Fine, which is a new game. It's if you guys ever played Carrion.
What was that? Win the Fine?
Win Defiance with a simple V. It's like an eldritch horror possesses a disgruntled ex-employee. So the old Carrion game is like a game where you become like the Thing, basically, and tentacles, stuff like that, move around the map.
Oh, yeah.
And this is like that one, but it's like in a corporate building first and then in a city. It was pretty neat. It was definitely different. Almost 90% positive reviews from 18 reviews. It was neat. You was like, pick somebody up that's shooting you, smash them against the wall, put them in the garbage can, kind of thing. It's just like a fun little power fantasy game.
You can dump people in a toilet.
Hell yeah.
And then, the Endless Legend 2 demo, just like you guys. Turbo Overkill, I tried a little bit. Really cool boomer shooter, really, really good.
Keep it concentrated, Fred. Important things only.
Galactic here got a new DLC.
Have either of you two played any Civ 7?
No.
I played a bit. Played it for like 4 hours total.
What did you think?
I think that I enjoyed my 4 hours, but I don't really care if I go back to it.
Because Civ 5
But I'm not big on Civ games.
Civ 5 is probably my favorite. I think your favorite is whatever you played first. And then I got into Civ 6, and then it feels a bit like City Skylines 2, where it's like, technically like the foundations are better, but because there's a lot less content, I don't really see any reason to play it right now. Like there's some fun leaders, and I like the fact that there's variations of leaders, like you can play as, 3 different Benjamin Franklins or whatever, which is kind of hilarious. But yeah, I was playing it. My friend asked, so what's new? And I couldn't tell him. I just couldn't work out what was new. Because it plays like Civ. There's the ages thing, but that was in Civ 6. There's the new there's a new way to research things, I guess. Kind of, not really. I don't know. I struggle to find anything unique from the previous games. So I didn't really think of a reason to play it right now. But I think it has pretty decent players.
Yeah, it's a strange one, I guess. I was never into the Civ games, but this one has definitely been controversial, to say the very least. It had like 44% positive Steam reviews on launch as well. So
yeah, it's had an 85k peak, and then 10-hour peak is about 10,000, 11,000. So it's decent, but not crazy.
It's a big franchise. And then the last one is Blueprints. I tried.
I'm desperate super to play cool. That. I'm so desperate to play that.
Ooh. Yeah, definitely try it out. It's cool. It's a puzzle game. That is roguelike. So you try to like go and find stuff in your big mansion, but the mansion changes every day, and then you like have only so many steps a day. So if you go into a room, some of the steps are locked, and the rooms are random every day. So you go into a door, get random assortment of 3 different doors, and you try to like just make it to the 46th room or something. And it's much harder than you can imagine. And then you have to find keys, diamonds, gems, and money.
That
along the way, because some rooms
very good for me.
So because some rooms are only unlocked with some stuff, and then to get some stuff you have to find puzzles. For example, like what's the code for this safe, and then you have to like find the clues and stuff like this.
Yeah,
definitely recommend that one. That was cool.
So insanely desperate to play that. Unfortunately, I've just started Yakuza 0, so I'll see you in 500 hours.
I'm really desperate to play a game I actually bought on the sale. Which is sequel that was released last year to one of my favorite games of all time. And it's actually insane that it's taken so long for me to get this one. But Fight Crab 2, which is a insanely cool game, the first one. It is so good. Like with physics, you fight as a crab. And it starts with just getting like maybe at first you're just like 2 crabs on a kitchen table fighting with knives.
These are the most insane screenshots I've ever seen.
Yeah, it is. And then it like kind of goes into like you having like a flail that you have to swing around with your mouse like this, like and your little crab, so your crab legs will like break and you'll ragdoll away with the flail.
I love this.
And then like for one of the last bosses, you're fighting a really big crab flying around on a flying seal that has rainbow spatter, while it's shooting at you with the trident of Poseidon. And you have to like get a harpoon or something, just like shoot it down from the sky before it can fight this Neptunian sorcery crab.
You know, Fred, I think you've just invented a new segment. What weird game are you excited for that's coming out soon?
Dude, I have done so many, like I have a segment on my stream called Weird Wednesdays, or have had that. And I've done so many insanely weird games. That I actually had to stop because I realized that people don't want to see the weirdest games I could find. But Fight Crab is like, it's so hilariously good. Yeah, they actually are. But after a while, it's like, yeah, this is actually pretty weird.
I'm buying Fight Crab 2 now, literally now.
If you look at that developer, all they release is like crustacean-based fighting games. That is hilarious.
That's such a niche, isn't it?
Yeah, actually are.
Can you imagine going for Sunday roast here, and then they're like, so Greg, what are you doing these days? And he's like, well, I'm in game development, and they're like, oh, what kind of games are you making? It's like, well, and then trying to explain that.
It's just fantastic. Oh, you can have more than 20 types of different crabs as well in it. 70 different weapons. Man, imagine this. They're not even paying us. We're actually paying them. That's crazy for this segment. Oh, but yeah, Fight Crab.
Yeah,
I'm really excited to play that one. I'm like, yeah, finally it's on sale.
I think my weird game, like my unique game that's just come out is probably that Lush Foil Photography Sim. I've not got it yet, but I played that demo, and that is just like the most meditative experience. So if you want something relaxing after a day of fighting crabs, highly recommend that. I think it's a solo dev. It's just wandering around, taking lovely pictures of nicely rendered areas.
Does look nice. Look very chill.
Nice.
Yeah.
There's always like those really underrated games. I'm really happy that a really big reviewer reviewed one of my favorite games of I think last year. Was it this year actually they got it released? Hold on, I'm just gonna check out what it's called because I can't remember. God damn it.
Monsters, is there anything weird coming up that you're excited for?
Intravenous 2. That was a very like weird one.
What?
It's like, yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's also a really cool game. Just a really brutal. Imagine special ops, Eastern European bloc hotline Miami.
Stop getting me to add things to my wish list. I already have like 300 games on there.
Because in Hotline Miami, you're like, okay, I'm gonna punch my way through this or shoot here. But in that one, it's like, I'm in Metal Gear now. I'm crawling in the grass. Oh, look, a breaker box. Zoom. The entire, like, all the electricity goes out. Nobody can see anything. And then you're like, night vision goggles. Go in there, shoot everyone. Then get shot, die.
Have you got a weird game that you're excited for, Monsters?
No, but I've just been looking up this Lush Foil Photography Sim, and I love the fact you're like, I could go out for a walk and take some pictures, or I could just play the computer and take pictures instead.
Well, you know, we live in England. The weather isn't always that good. I say as
Ever.
the sun's outside.
I guess it depends where you live as well.
Yes. Right. I think we are probably about wrapped up there, folks.
Boom.
So, thanks for listening to this. Hopefully you enjoyed the more concise, slightly shorter episodes, a bit more focused. We don't know what the next one will be on. We can just have these ideas as they come to us. Maybe a guest. We'll see.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
What do you guys want to see?
Yeah,
Let us know in the comments.
We'd love to. If you got any questions, we could add a segment about that. If you can give us free content, then we will not say no. But
No, definitely not.
No,
Yeah,
actually, you know what? We're gonna do this. If you guys have questions, we will read them at the end of next episode.
yes. So please give us free content. We really need it, as you can see. So for now, if you want to look at gameplay commentaries, go subscribe to Monsters Bound. And if you want to see streams about people playing weird games, go watch Fred. And you're on my channel already, so clearly you have no taste. So subscribe. Bye.
Bye-bye.